Welcome, friends, to Boiler Room Detective Channel. This case is the case of the boiler that failed on low water. If you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe to the channel. During one of my seminars, an attendee asked about the boiler in his home during the break. It was a cast iron sectional low-pressure steam boiler that dry fired. It kept firing even though there was no water in the boiler. He asked how that could happen because he blew down the boiler regularly. When you say regularly, what does that mean? I asked without judgment in my voice. A few times per heating season, about once a month, he admitted. And each time he blew it down, the burner would shut off. I asked and he nodded. I know the manufacturer recommends weekly blowdowns, but he did it much more than most homeowners. Let me think about it and I will go back to you, I said, handing him a business card. He gave me one of his with the cell number written in ink on it. After the seminar, I emailed a friend, a boiler inspector for an insurance company. I explained what the man told me and hit send. An hour later, I got a response. My friend said he had indeed heard of that, and his company was starting to require evaporation tests for steam boilers they insured. Included in the email was a link to his story about the evaporation test. The article explained how the situation could have happened to my attendee friend, and in the end, I was fascinated. When the boiler has a float-style low-water cutoff, dirt and mud could accumulate inside the bowl, affecting the float's operation. The accumulation wasn't enough to stop the float during a normal blowdown test, but was sufficient to impede it during operation. During the traditional blowdown test, you have the force of the steam pushing the float down. This doesn't happen during normal operation. As the water level drops inside the low water cutoff, the float gets hung up by the dirt or mud and doesn't drop when the water level drops, resulting in the low water condition. So now we have the evaporation test being a required test for several of the boiler insurance companies. Performing the evaporation test on a commercial boiler with a feed water pump is easier than doing one on a residential boiler, but still takes time. I shut off all the boilers so no steam from the other boiler is filling the boiler I want to test. Next, I shut off the feed water pumps feeding the boiler and close the manual valve. After I start the boiler I want to test, I wait and watch the gauge glass, making sure never to leave the boiler unattended during this test. As the boiler fires, steam will leave the boiler and the water level will drop. If it falls below the glass in the gauge glass, there is something wrong. The boiler should be shut off and the low water cutoff disassembled. Clean the float and any debris you find inside the safety control and repeat the test when you're done. If it does it again, replace the control. Don't forget to open the valve and start the feed water pump when you're done. I would repeat this test on the other boilers. On residential steam systems, I shut off the makeup water pipe. Theoretically, the system should never require makeup water. This assumes that the wet return is open and clear. I know I'm assuming a lot. To help the test along, I put a hose on the boiler drain and direct the other end of it into the floor drain. Once the boiler is steaming, I will partially open the drain valve and let the water trickle out. Then I watch the gauge glass. If the water level drops below the gauge glass, I shut off the boiler. I open the low water cutoff, clean the bowl, and check the float. If it does it again when retesting, you want to replace that control. Open the makeup water line and start the boiler when satisfied. Bring hose caps with you as the boiler drain will probably leak. The evaporation test should be done every year. If you would like to contact me, my contact information is here. In addition, I have two websites. BrewingWithSteam.com is focused on steam systems for breweries and distilleries. It includes a monthly blog post about steam issues inside a brewery. My other site is FireIceHeat.com. It's my company's website and shows some of our capabilities. I have authored 11 boiler books which are available on Amazon. My technical articles are included in many of these